I'm the Plucky Artist, and I'm going to tell you all about another Art Action Week. I was blown away by the support everyone gave to the last Art Action Week. I had very little previous experience with planning things of this nature, and only left myself 5 days to plan it all, so it was a challenge. It was a success. Hundreds of people showed their artistic side and shared their stories and ideas of how the austerity was impacting them and those they cared about. I was pleased to see such a diverse group of individuals with a whole range of experiences coming together and sharing their stories in such a positive way. Why not check out the blog, which has some great examples from the previous Art Action Week. You can find it at artactionblog.wordpress.com. Or join us on Facebook, Art Action Group, and do some serious scrolling through the posts. There are lots of ideas, art and information about other campaigns and examples of how others are using art to raise awareness of important issues. A great enabler of societies and those within society's bad treatment of each other, and a topic that relates to the austerity cuts and so many other issues, is the use of negative labelling and the promotion of inequality that it brings into society. It is used to create division between us, for when you identify with a group, you tend to show a preference to those in your group. That favouritism to those in your group can often be at the expense of those outside the group. What I have just given is a very simple insight into Henry Tajfeld's work on social identity theory. Some common examples of groups we might identify with: gender versus another gender, race versus another race or races, employed versus unemployed, young versus old, able versus disabled, native versus non-native. Even the order I said those examples indicates a bias I have floating in my mind. For instance, why didn't I say old versus young? We need to question our behaviours in society and our responsibility to other human beings. I think for too long we have stood back and allowed words and attitudes to be used as weapons against those we perceive to be different, or even participated in doing it. Sometimes we participate in it without realising we are doing it, because these attitudes are so ingrained in society and we learn them from such an early age. In order to change our behaviours, we have to be aware of them, and what thoughts trigger them, and why those thoughts can lead us to take certain actions. We have to question all those things and the motives that drive us. Then comes the hard challenge of altering how we treat people. It is not easy, and if you're anything like me, you won't always get it right. The important thing is we try, and we aren't afraid to ask for guidance and maybe understanding when we have difficulties. So here's one of the ways we can start getting people questioning labels given, changing the labels' meanings and how we relate to them, and highlight inequality that isn't given the prominence in people's minds that it should be. By creating thought-provoking art and ideas to encourage challenging of those labels and questioning of attitudes in society, and then sharing that art with society and having conversations about the topic with those around us, we can generate more awareness and even some change. The 15th to the 21st of July is Art Action Week, on the theme of art on negative labels and inequality. You can find us on Facebook, Art Action Group. Art Action Weeks are all about encouraging everyone to give themselves a voice through art and use art to speak out about issues of importance to us all. It is about empowering those who feel powerless. Art is great for spreading ideas and sharing thoughts and feelings, because there are so many artistic mediums to be creative with. Art is very inclusive, and those of any skill or experience can still produce art. It is also enjoyable and therapeutic to a lot of people, so is a very positive activity to spend time doing. Maybe you're already doing positive things to raise awareness on issues. That is awesome. I'd love it if you took the time to share information and your story on what you're doing in a creative way, or maybe we could help to make art to promote your idea. That way we can support each other's ideas and spread knowledge on the events that are happening all around us. While it is useful to have dedicated support groups and campaigns for each particular label or inequality, after all it makes sense to specialise to give the best help we can in understanding of experiences people are going through, it is really important in my mind that we come together to tackle all of the negative labelling and inequality, because it seems to have similar roots in our society. We could all do some good by coming together and digging out those roots and replacing it with something better. So let's discover what we have in common and tackle this together. I hope you will join us in creating, sharing and enjoying art and ideas.